Okay, so this is my module two assignment case study. I chose Harvard graduate education program, their article about punishing choice, challenges of mandated reporting. Felt like this is a great topic to talk about with some of the issues with everything that's going on in education, and also it's a very common um, problem that people have of facing the challenges of mandated reporting as teachers, especially new teachers. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the overall, let me present my slideshow here. The overall context of the case study, there was a teacher named Miss Whitford, a licensed professional teacher. She moved to Tennessee and she was teaching and she got to know her class pretty well. And she had a student by the name of Jamal that I believe it was Jamal, that was a great student and was very happy and outgoing, very positive attitude, and very positive personality. And she started noticing a change in his behavior and his personality around October. So she thought, hey, I'm just gonna start talking to his mom a little bit more. She'd already been talking to him a bunch just because he was a great student, so she always shared positive things. So she felt like she had that relationship. So she started talking to his mom a little bit more, and his mom said that the only change at home really was that the mom started dating someone in October, and so that she um, started sharing her time with her son now with the mom's new boyfriend. So that's just a normal thing that happens in life. So not anything to be worried about necessarily, but the change in behavior is the problem, is the concern. So in Tennessee, everyone is technically a mandated reporter. Everyone that is a citizen of Tennessee is a mandated reporter by law. So Miss Whitford started noticing, these change of physical and behavioral indicators of kind of abuse, kind of what she's been trained on and everything. And there's this gray area, with the mom's new boyfriend, the change of behavior and personality. She didn't really know what to do. So, like I said, she confronted the mother. The mother then denied everything in regard to abuse, um, and was astonished that Miss Whitford would even accused her or her boyfriend of doing anything like that because she loves their son. Her, the mother claimed that it was corporal punishment rather than abuse that was being used. So she stormed off, threw a fit, and everything. Um, this is something that's common in southern Tennessee. It's the norms of the way Tennesseans handle punishments with their kids. It's Everything's considered corporal punishment rather than abuse to them, not by law, but by just the norms of the community. But Miss Whitford still wasn't 100% confirmed that it was an abuse. She started noticing bruises on Jamal. She started noticing, obviously, his behavior changed. He went from a great personality, a great student, to starting missing work. Wasn't really a good um, or a fun person to be around anymore. Very negative almost. So she started, that's a huge flip from what she noticed the first 3 months of the school year to what she was experiencing at that time. So she even decided to bring it up to her principal. Her principal said that um, he doesn't suggest reporting it because of other incidents in the past of reporting and causing children to go removed from their families to then be hopped around foster care system. Um, so they all frown upon it pretty much is what it's kind of seeming like. So there's this huge gray area that Miss Whitford's in. Some of the background of the law and ethics for this case study, the ethics, Amanda references her undergraduate psychology class, corporal punishment's negative effects on children's mood, anxiety, and emotional stability. I think that's a huge ethical issue that Amanda's handling. Corporal punishment, obviously, it has an effect, and eventually enough corporal punishment kind of can turn into abuse of some sort, whether it's purposeful or intended. Let me phrase that. It's whether it's intended or not, but it can turn. So she wants to make sure she doesn't feel okay with the whole situation. So, with the law that's mentioned in the text, the states permit the use of reasonable corporal punishment, but there are no guidelines defining reasonable. So that's where that gray area comes in. It's not consistent across the board of what's considered reasonable and what's not. It's just per definition, which is ironic because everyone has their own understanding of what reasonable means, especially when it comes to punishment for behavior or whatever with their own children. Then the Department for Children's Services in Tennessee um, poses that physical abuse is non-accidental trauma or physical injury of a child or failure to protect a child from harm. Um, that's another one of the laws that was mentioned. And I think it's important to make sure to point that out just because the last part of it where it's failure to protect a child from harm, with Jamal coming to school complaining about people, or his complaining about his mother's boyfriend and everything with the abuse. He started coming to school with a bunch of bruises and stuff. So the teacher just recognizes that, and it's technically against the law or the Department of Children's Services for them to not report something like that or not protect the child from something like that. The Tennessee DCS also notes that every Tennessee citizen is a mandated reporter, as I mentioned before, and that's to report abuse of physical, sexual, or emotional nature. And at the same time, and I apologize for the noise in the background, that's my dog drinking water. I really apologize about that. At the time, DCS officials note that bruises and marks don't automatically equal child abuse, leaving a lot of room for misinterpretation as to whether or not she should report an incident. So, like I said earlier, it's just a huge gray area. Piper. It's just a huge gray area with the reporting issue, and whether she should or shouldn't report. Like you said, it's just very inconsistent with the law. Being that reasonable is mentioned in there, which reasonable is justified by individuals who are in the situation of reporting, and then obviously when the law states that bruises and marks don't automatically equal child abuse, then it's really hard to justify whether a bruise is a bruise or a bruise is from intentionality behind it or purposely hitting the individual. So my analysis, I would say, just based on the pertinent law there, I would say everyone in Tennessee is under state law is technically a mandated reporter. I think that not reporting is against the law, or I know not reporting is against the law, and you can be charged with a Class A misdemeanor, including jail time and a possible fine or both. And then another thing to point out is that the reporter can be anonymous, and worst case scenario, CPS is going to conduct an investigation of a child welfare check and interviews of all those involved to at least monitor the situation. And those are all from the Tennessee Department of Child Services website. I really think that with this situation, I would personally definitely report in this situation if I was kind of handling this case. It's not our job as teachers to justify what child abuse has taken place, rather that it's corporal punishment or actual abuse. It is our job to be aware and recognize the signs of child abuse. And in this situation, Mrs. Whitford is obligated by law to report those signs. We all are as teachers, especially in most states. I do not agree with the way the system, as in DCS, handles most situations, but that's not my job. If I notice the signs or I'm told direct information from the said child, then I typically would discuss with my school counselors and then go ahead and report. Better safe than sorry in most cases. So in this case, I would definitely report, especially because Miss Whitford is conflicted with her decision of not reporting. Those are my sources.